here, Sangha, as we were organizing the retreats and with the theme Nourishing the Roots, nourishing our ancestral roots, but also our roots. And also the theme of celebrating the 20 years of BIPOC's retreat at Newport Monastery. We were thinking, wow, what can we do to celebrate this 20-year anniversary? So throughout the retreat, we thought that maybe we bring back some of the people that have been here ever since 2004, but not only that, but even before 2004, that has supported the BIPOC retreat and also the BIPOC community. So already at the very beginning of the retreat, we keep saying OG, OG, OG. So here we are, more OG people to celebrate the retreat and also to share what we had been doing to support the BIPOC's retreat the past 20 years, and also to encourage our young members that are sitting among us right here. What can you do the next 20 years, right? To have this continuation rolling. Yeah, there you go. And the next 30 years. To keep this bloom bigger and bigger as we're moving forward, not only in America, but also in the world. So here we go. This is I. I is Hill. Well, I'm getting to the central accents when I speak Vietnamese. As I saying the name, I realized, okay, so this is I. This is Hill, daughter. And she been coming here ever since, not even like in the big tummy, but in the little tummy. So he have came to Newport for a very long time. He came here. He knows the practice ever since 1997, correct? But he's more involved in the 2000s. And when he was here in 2000s, he has supported the Sangha a whole lot, especially in the teen camp and the whole group of teenagers, because he came here when he was a teenager. He started when he was 14, and he continued to come here. And as he's continued to come to the Sangha, he's met his wife, and she's just right there. Ciao! And come, I. So that's just a little bit about Hill. And this is Polly. Polly has been here since 2004. She didn't come to the retreat, but she came for that one winter retreat. Yes. In 2004, all the monastic in Plum Village tradition came here for 3 months rain retreat. Thai was here, and everyone, all the monastic from Plum Village in France, and also we had a monastery in. At that time, it was Green Mountain Dhamma Center. So we all came here for a retreat. Not me, I was a lay friend. I was here, but not a monastics. And Thai was also here. It was a big, big event for the monastics and also for Newport Monastery. And this building that we're sitting in was also built in 2004. So everything almost happened in 2004, almost, for Newport Monastery. So she was here, and she's been here ever since. Polly came in. I only knew Polly by her kids. It's always like, with Phoebe mom. I know her by Phoebe mom. Because I was playing with her kids. I play almost all the kids that come here. So I only know them by Phoebe mom or other moms. I don't remember their name anymore. But Polly's here ever since then. And she continued to hold space for BIPOC retreat, not only here, but also outside the monastery. If you are planning to sign up for one of the BIPOC Sangha, you're probably going to get to know Polly really well. And this is Antoinette. Antoinette was here 2004. She was here 2004. And she's also in the organizing team, so there was a lot of things happening in organizing, and Antoinette had helped us so much. She had help in an area that we cannot do anything about. The monastic didn't have a lot of resource, and she helped a lot with. She's an attorney, so she helped a lot on that area. I don't want to go more and more about. There's so much more that I need to tell you about them, but I want to start so they can start the sharing, and then maybe if there's anything else that you like to introduce about yourself, please welcome. And so I had already shared that he came here when he was a teenager, and at that time it was a big deal to him. Now he's a doctor, and in his teenager life, growing up as a Vietnamese persons, and also trying to engage in American culture is always a battle for us. I'm also Vietnamese, so there's always that battle. Trying to understand his family, try to understand American cultures, and try to bring that two part in peace. So he found the practice, and he's transformed, and he balanced his life with work, going to medical school. He struggled with the Vietnamese ancestors and the American ancestors. And so could you please tell us how you navigate all that in your life, and how you get here?
Hello? Okay, so as mentioned, my name is Hugh. I grew up in a really Buddhist family. My parents were traditional, like Mahayana chanting, paying a lot of respects to monks and monastics, and a lot of chanting, a lot of praying. It's almost as if they worshipped, to some degree, the Buddha, as if the Buddha is a god. And that was what I was exposed to a lot as a child, because we had to go to temples, and or at least I was made to go to the temple without much understanding. So I actually grew up to be really Vietnamese. At least my wife says I was really Vietnamese. Still am, I guess. I didn't think I was, because it's just what I knew. I grew up in a bit of a broken family, a lot of fighting, a lot of anger, a lot of psychological manipulation. I don't know if anybody here knows Jennifer Pan. It's not somebody that's here, or at least I don't think anybody here is named Jennifer Pan. But Jennifer Pan is a Vietnamese woman who grew up in a Vietnamese household and was extremely controlled. People in various cultures, I'm sure, may have experienced this, where basically your parents commanded everything you were supposed to do, what you're supposed to study, where you're supposed to go to school, what grades you're supposed to get, whether or not you can do extracurricular activities. So similarly, this is what happened with her. They planned her life out, what she was supposed to do. And they picked her dad picked her to go to pharmacy school, and she eventually just lived a double life, where she just faked her acceptance to a pharmacy school, fakes her degrees or her grades to her high schools and colleges, made up fake stories to when she was in school, interaction with teachers, whatnot. And, so long and short of it, it was essentially really emotionally, psychologically, and frankly put, abusive, right? Because she had no abilities to be who she was. And so this is similarly with, every difference in to make things more interesting in life. The kind of life that my family grew up, my family was, the way they controlled my two sisters, the emotional abuse they did to them, what they did to me. So, but I count my blessings. I was fortunate, and I knew we went to this monk by the name of Thầy Thích Minh Đức. He got invited down to give Dharma talks to this temple that my mom made me go to. And he told my mom, hey, there's this really cool monk. He may have used those words, I don't know. By the name of Thich Nhat Hanh, and he has all these also cool monks and nuns that are young, and they're friendly to people, and they don't act as if they're high and mighty, whatnot. When you take them, he'll fit in much better there than he does to these temple meetings that I was going to, where everyone was, and nothing wrong with everyone being that age, but everyone was like 70, and I was the one person that was a teenager. So that was 97. So my mom signed me up to go to the retreat at that time. It was held in Camp Sealy. And for sure, that was, I don't say this lightly, and it sounds super cliche, but it definitely allowed me to be to continue to exist today for what I went through. And, shout out, I don't know if she'll listen to this, but Sister To Ingim was somebody that I leaned on a lot over many dark hours of the night. Well, it was middle of the night in California, but it was daytime in Plum Village. It's always daytime somewhere. So, when I called up and talked to her while things were not so hot at home, so she got me through a lot of this. So this practice has been, as I'm sure everyone here knows, it's been a journey, and it's a blessed one, and I'm grateful for having been able to continue to be a part of it, and grateful for everyone here.
Can you add on how you had support the teen retreat, and why you choose to do that?
That's a big time jump. Okay, so I have to give a little bit more context in that then. So this was when I was 14 years old, as mentioned, and for about 4 years, I was going to, the only thing that was exposed at that time, that was available at that time, was, I think at that time was maybe Green Mountain Dharma Center. Maybe Blue Cliff existed, I'm not sure, to be honest, but that was in New York, or is still in New York, and then that was it. So the only opportunity I had for any kind of respite was the retreats that the monastics and Sangha had. And so back then, they did tours every year. I know, it was amazing. And so one of the places they always went to was, I think one year was UC Santa Barbara, a couple years at UC San Diego, and then they got tired of paying rent, so they decided to buy this place. And I was here in 2000, 2001 when we were just bussed here and showed up to this place, and it was empty, and it was a police academy back then, I don't know, police training ground, and bullet holes and casings. It was pretty interesting. And then I went off to college, so, which was another formative years, as people may or may not be aware. But that time of the age anyways, doesn't necessarily mean the college part, although it definitely helped to get away from my family. But that age is a formative year to figure out who you are, and I got the chance to figure out who I was by being away from home for a bit. And I experienced other practices, for lack of better words, and other way of thinking, some more dogmatic than others, and some more extreme than others, and interacted with various types of people. And then fast forward to 2010, I had just finished some classes in San Francisco State to go to medical school. And I was looking up just place to go volunteer because Disneyland was giving out free tickets to whoever wanted to volunteer. And if you did, I can't remember, 6 weeks, 8 weeks with whatever organization, they give you a free Disneyland ticket. So who's going to turn that down? And I was searching through all the different options, and one of it was, and some people may know this thing, Bodhi Youth of America, or Bodhi Youth Academy. I think it's Bodhi Youth Academy. And Angela or Jamie Hatton was the one who's leading that. And so I was like, hey, and in her blurb, she was saying that, she works with teenagers in the tradition of Tai Thich Nhat. And I was like, this is something familiar to me. It's better than going around picking up trash off the freeway, so at least for me. So I signed up and did that for a few weeks, got my Disneyland ticket. And then she was like, Deer Park is looking for anybody with a pulse to, wait for it, wrangle teenagers. And they're having a hard time finding people. Wonder why. And I was like, sure. And it really was something that, spoke to my heart, because I came to this practice as a teenager, and, every aspect and age of your life can be difficult for sure, and we all have our pain and struggles that whether you're 60 or 16, you go through. I can only say though that when you're 16 and it's that 1 year, it's only 1/16th of your life, right? And probably more like 1/11th of your life that you remember. Versus when you're 60, you have hopefully so much more experience to draw from, and wisdom and perspective, that something that could be distressing can be cushioned by your life that you've lived, and that's a blessing, right? But when you're 16 or 14, you just by sheer physics don't have that opportunity yet. So it really spoke to me at that time to work, to come here, not work, but to just be with the teenagers, because I saw teenagers interact with their parents. I saw them interact with each other. I saw we liberate these teenagers from their phones, to their chagrin. And even back then, so much more now, right? Where to disconnect and just have to sit in your silence for 4 or 5 days. By day 2, 2.5, 3, some of them are quite literally going crazy. And many of us do, right? When we have to sit with ourselves. And all we have is our thoughts, and as it pulls us in every direction. And I'm so there to to be with those teenagers when they're working through all that. And it's not every time, obviously. At the same time, it is so nourishing to see them at the end of the retreat who were not wanting to be there at the beginning to just not want to go home because this land, this earth, this place that we have is something that we all need. And that's what I wanted to support a lot when I came to do the teen camps there.
Thank you, Hill. Maybe we'll listen to one sound the bell. Our teacher often reminded us that to have the aspiration to ordain is a beautiful process, but it can be very simple. The ceremony of ordaining a monastic is maybe it lasts 3 hours long. But to sustain a monastic life, it can be quite a work. So as practitioner, not running away from the practice, not running away from our emotions, and not giving up is also a practice. It requires work just to stay with who we are and stay with the community so that we can be more engaged in ourselves and also in the society. So it's the work of an individual. So Internet, can you tell us, how did you do that? All these years.
Thank you, dear sister. I was a little startled because I was expecting Polly to go next. So, great. Here we are. So, I want to, this is actually good timing because I want to name, and before I do that, I just want to say, I love us. In all the ways we show up. I love us. Yeah, eye hugging is a real thing. Yeah. And this moment is so rare. So appreciate and love us. We are very imperfect too, like family. And we can grow. And I was able to do so with BIPOC Sangha in a big way. So I want to uplift the BIPOC Sangha facilitators. Can you please stand? That would include you, Polly. Yes. Come on, don't be shy. Come on, don't be shy. Hello. Yes. You are holding it for us. Thank you. Thank you. You see our friends here. You can reach out to them. There are so many sanghas. There weren't that many when I first started in 2004. I was so inspired I did not grow up Buddhist. I grew up in a Catholic tradition, and it changed in college once I learned the history of Catholicism and how its colonial role and how it treated women. And actually, on this recent trip to Vietnam, the colonial role was not just in Latin America, but also in Vietnam, so it just broke my heart. Yeah, so BIPOC Sanghas have really, in all its iterations, so there are facilitators who are not here, just want to name that, who've been around for quite some time. There are what's called BAME in UK, Black and Minority Ethnic, Black Asian Minority Ethnic, I think it is. And that's in the UK. I know at Plum Village, there's an interest to host a BIPOC retreat, or BAME retreat, maybe it's not called BIPOC. We're growing because it's a recognition of colonialism, white supremacy, and all its impact on our bodies and our ancestors. So it's amazing when we show up. It's a unique space. Yeah, so just thank you. Thank you. Thank you all who are not here, and those of us who are here, thank you. And I'll say it's really brought the depth of what Sangha is. Thai has said the next Buddha is a Sangha. That means we are. We are. Yes, we are. And I've felt it in Sangha. I've learned from us all in Sangha. It's actually constant. I'm always learning in Sangha. I've gone through, I would say, a very pivotal moment in my life, the last 2 years when my mother passed, when blood family could not hold me. I don't wish that experience on anyone. Grieving and not being held with blood family was profoundly painful. And who showed up? My siblings in Sangha. It's family. It's profound. We can do that for each other. It does happen. Yeah. Yeah, so thank you. You are here. Thank you. I thank you. It's also brought what Thai created, again, what I learned when I was in Vietnam. This rare opportunity to go to Vietnam that I would not have done were it not for Polly, Juliet, and Joe, who fundraised for a group of us who could not afford to throw down for a chunk of money. So I also want to thank the mindfulness community of Puget Sound. If you're here, thank you. And all the siblings who are here who helped in this fundraiser, thank you. The gift keeps giving in so many ways. So on the gathering, it was a rare opportunity to be in BIPOC Sangha together in this momentous commemoration of Thai. And I'm getting the chills because it's an experience that I can't really give words to, but it touched me deeply to really see that Thai was revolutionary. Revolutionary in engaging Buddhism, engage Buddhism. It's not just in the cushion in a temple or in the Dharma hall. It's not a solo practice. It's a community practice. I knew that already from being in BIPOC Sangha, but I felt that. And it's quite stunning how embracing he is. To continue relationships with Catholics, given the oppressive role in Vietnam, to continue relationships with and have the distinction, knowing the distinction between the US government and US people from the US, and still have relationship, that's profound. And that's, I think, what Palestinians are teaching us now. They clearly are distinguishing from the US government and the people. They see the actions in the street. And I see the faces that are in various countries around Palestine. It's beautiful. So in these years, I've learned, and one of the things I was trying to reflect on when Thai spoke at that 2004 retreat, I remember the word "stop running." Stop running from yourselves. Yeah. It hit me. I'm like, oh. Yeah. It's easy to get caught up in a consumerist, have to be somebody, have to work, have to pay the bills, and that is it. It is not. Coming from a working class background and actually struggling even as an attorney, it's easy to get caught up in reaching and running and get lost in consumerism, material world. And I've known already that material is not everything. And in fact, I've appreciated how I remember a holiday retreat coming here. I used to also staff. By the way, staffing, being a volunteer, that's the cheap way to go. For those of us who are trying to make ends meet, be a staff, be a volunteer. That's the secret. And the other secret, ask. Ask the registrars, ask monastics, ask BIPOC Sanghas. Arise Sangha, I'm also one of the co-founders. We have set aside money for BIPOC scholarships, so ask. You may not have known that, but you do now. Share that. You're never alone. You're always thought of, because we love you. You matter. Your healing is our healing. Our healing is your healing. Yeah. I love us. I do. I haven't shared. My pronouns are they, them, her, she. I'm queer. And so I love QT BIPOC Sangha. I'm sorry I've not been able to be present, but I see you. I love you. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing to know is the practices, once you're, the gathas, they're poetry. Everything's poetic. Once you become acquainted Make it yours in whatever way that looks like for you. Make it yours. So it meets you in your experience. And share it, because it's a teaching. We learn from each other, we love each other. Yeah. So I want to say that I've been practicing with a poem, and I've discovered the teaching in this poem that I'm sure you've heard. And I want us to read it together. So I figured out a way how we can do that. This is where I'll stop after we read this. And as we do this together, take it as a prayer to those who are suffering in Palestine and throughout the world. The poem, If I Must Die, by Rafat Alavir, who wrote it for his daughter, who was killed last month, martyred, along with her husband and child. He wrote this poem thinking of her. It's a few stanzas, so please repeat after me. Take it as a prayer for healing and see so much is in this poetry. I call it liberation poetry. So I'll say one line and you can repeat after me. And if you don't want to repeat, just hold your heart and just take it in. If I must die, you must live to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings. Make it white with a long tail, so that a child somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting their dad who left in a blaze, and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself. Seize the kite, my kite you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment an angel is there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope. Let it be a tale. Thank you, beautiful ones. dear beloved ones. I was encouraged by Polly to say a little more about Arise, awakening through race, intersectionality, and social equity. It's been around since 2014, and Victoria is here, Chris is here. You can wave your hand, Arise members. We're a Sangha that is, bringing those concerns to the practice. AriseSangha.org, you can look us up. Thank you.
Okay. Polly, please save us. I'm so happy to sitting here with these three people. I feel like they are like powerhouse, you know. We've been talking a lot, and I think we're not even sharing everything that we want to share with everyone. Polly has been helping with BIPOC Sangha so much. And it's not only that she's doing the work, but within the work, there's a lot of love in it. And I think that has touched so many hearts. And she feels nourished by it. So we want to learn how you do that, how you do the work with love and also be nourished at the same time. Because this is what it is. This is actions that nourish. So how can we do that? And how, I think at least I think I'm still young. And then there's many, many young people around here. And we are craving and wanting to know how to do that outside the monasteries, how to be engaged and still feel love in our heart and still feel nourished so we can continue as we live in this life.
Dear Tay, dear Sangha, can you hear me? Not really. How's that? Okay, great. It's so wonderful to be here, and I have to say, I started coming to Deer Park in 2002, so it was a couple years before the first BIPOC, POC retreat at that time. And this was always like my home since I first started coming here. But I have to say, once I started going to the BIPOC retreats, and especially being in BIPOC Sangha, I feel like the depth of practice that I've experienced has been tremendous. I feel, and I think you all feel it, the special energy. Certainly in this retreat, I mean, today was incredible. Last night was incredible. The whole retreat has been really heart-opening, heart-lightening for me, and I think for other people too. Yeah. So first, I want to thank the organizing team because I know how much time goes into all the little details of every single thing that happens in a retreat. And it seems like it flows along so easily for all of us, but that's because somebody went through and thought about each thing. So, and it's all done with love. You know, it's not done out of any sense of like a big task. It's just done with so much love. So we are so fortunate to have such loving bodhisattvas to create this container for us, this space for us. to come and rest and heal and connect and find joy and cry. So my experience with BIPOC Sangha has been, I feel like there's a level of reality in a BIPOC retreat that is so much. Tay talks about the historical dimension and the ultimate dimension, right? And we live in the historical dimension, but the ultimate dimension is something, we can touch also, right? We're not just historical creatures. And yet, if we are not aware of the reality of the historical dimension, what the historical dimension has contained, what has happened in the historical dimension, I feel it's going to be harder to touch the ultimate dimension without that, if there's a level of denial in the historical dimension. There are walls, right? So I feel like there's just this incredible depth of practice in the BIPOC community, and so many teachers in this community. I mean, I'm looking out at so many of you who have been such inspiration to me, and it's not just the Dharma teachers, it's the new people I meet and the OI aspirants and people taking the 5. I mean, there's so much depth. So I really appreciate all of you being here and offering yourselves and your time and your beautiful spirits. So I guess I feel like I've gotten a lot of nourishment and from being in Sangha. And honestly, I sort of, so after the 2004 retreat, there was a peace walk in MacArthur Park with Tay and I think Larry Ward and Sister Jewel were involved in that. And then they decided to organize a Sangha right across the street from that at a place called Mama's Hot Tamales. And MacArthur Park, if you're not familiar with Los Angeles, is an area with a lot of different, there's been history. It's an area, I guess, with some gang activity and various, difficulties, challenges in the neighborhood. So they were starting a Sangha in this place, Mama's Hot Tamales. It's like 10 minutes from my house. I'm like, oh, this is so great. I'm gonna go to this Sangha every week from so close. It's gonna be so great. So I show up, and Larry's there, and Sister Jewel's there, and Denise Wynn, who's like a real Sangha, like bodhisattva. They're all there. I'm so excited. And but they don't actually live in LA, so they can't be there all the time. So then they're like, okay, so who's gonna lead this Sangha? So I ended up being co-facilitator with another Sangha member, Jacqueline Kim, and we held that space. And then we lost that space, and then Juliet found another space. And so we held Sangha there for a while. So it just happened. It's been very nourishing. And I have to say, one great thing for being a facilitator is it makes you go. So you make this commitment, I'm going to go because I have to go. And you go. And it's always, I never feel like, oh, I'm so, I'm really bummed that I went to Sangha. So I never, ever have felt that. So that's I want to encourage you all to like consider taking up facilitation if you're like, comfortable with that. Yeah, so it has been very nourishing, and it's just kind of grown from there. And we're really lucky because there are a lot of BIPOC Sangha spaces now, and there's quite a few online resources, and that's really, really great. So I guess it's just been very nourishing for me. Yeah. Thank you.
I remember 2004 we get free tamale. It was that. So do you get free tamale every time you go to the Sangha? They were very good though. They were very good. I think I was introduced to tamale when in 2004 when they were offering to the whole Sangha tamale. So it was very, very good. Is it Mama Tamale? Yeah.
Sandy was really a real community leader. Sandy Romero, who offered that space, was really a community leader. She did all kinds of, like classes, and she was really very generous for many years.
That leads us to something that we haven't touched yet that I feel is necessary to touch a little bit at least, is how we are connected to other Sangha, other spiritual Sangha that has support us, and also how do we mingle with other community Sangha and how we have support them and they support us in our spiritual practice and also spiritual support. So maybe, Antoinette, would you like to add on some?
Yeah, I did. I feel very fortunate to be in the Bay Area and have also been participating with East Bay Meditation Center and go to the POC Sangha. There's, as was mentioned, just so many options. So East Bay Meditation Center has various Sanghas, Alphabet, which is a queer Sangha, and they're online. So it's become national, like people from all over go to POC Sangha and as well as the other various Sanghas. And when I've been at EBMC, it's such a joy to be there and hear Thai get mentioned. Thai is loved in all the traditions. I've been in other retreat centers. Thai is often referenced. So he's revered, and the community is revered. I just came back from a retreat at Barrie, and a teacher was sharing mindful walking, and it was like, oh, wow. So the practices are, because they're adored, and they're accessible, they're available, Plum Village is not a corporation. It's not saying you cannot do it. It's shared widely. There's an app, there's the website, Plum Village, has a lot of resources, so it's accessible for everybody, whether they're in the Plum Village or not. So it is accessed, and I hear that in the various spaces that I do participate in. And it's been a joy to share the practice in these other spaces and to hold it for me. It's just it's for instance, in like with EBMC, I'm part of the leadership group, and before, when I first joined, there wasn't a practice, and now we do that. It's something I offered once, and people, of course, were going to practice, and so we do that before meetings, and that's just a lovely way to begin a meeting. And people are always curious about Plum Village and Deer Park, so you all are here and can talk about your experience. You know that's going to happen. Yeah, because there's always friends outside and family who notice the impact, even if it's your first retreat or if it's you've been coming back, still notice the impact. And the thing too is, this isn't. It's not. What I appreciate about Thai too, it's never, and Plum Village, it's not about denying your roots. It's actually celebrating your roots. And not just celebrating your roots, it's celebrating our ancestors. Not too many practice communities do that. And this is what I love about our tradition, is we really do bring our ancestors. They're with us, whether they're named or not, and it's celebrated and named here, and I really enjoy that.
Thank you so much. Antoinette has shared something with me that I want to write in a calligraphy. By the way, Polly is also an artist, so I just want to mention that since I'm talking about calligraphy, that I felt the three of them are really living this one phrase that Antoinette has shared with us. She shared with us that practicing is a meeting us as we are. Practicing mindfulness is meeting us as we are. And I thought that is so beautiful. We're practicing mindfulness to understand who we are and to meet where we're at and to understand who we are at the moment. So they are really like living that phrase, and I feel I'm so blessed to be here with you. And I heard there is a surprise. Juliet, would you come up here with us for a little bit? We still have a little bit time, and there's always surprise. I think I say this a lot today. I think so. There was a little bit surprise that I heard of, and I was hoping Juliet can help me introduce this.
I wanted to invite Jermaine Franco, if you're in the house. Jermaine, are you here? Oh. I've been looking for her all night. Well, maybe I can just tell you about her. She's also another one of the OGs. She first came to the practice in 2003 at the Creative Artist Retreat. And she is a musician. She is a musical composer. And she also came to the 2004 POC retreat. And it's so funny, like I know a lot of people in my life, they're like, oh, I was at that retreat too. Tammy Bang Lu. Raise your hand. People, who was at the POC retreat 2004? Ah, yes, Sister Dangnim. And back there, wonderful. Yes, Prajna. Maybe we have space for them if they would like to. But Jermaine and I ordained together. We're part of the Ocean family in 2011. And she's an amazing musical composer. She's one of the main composers for the movie Coco and for Encanto. Yes. So people are bringing this practice into their life, into their work, into their home, in the streets. And there's Mama's Hot Tamales, like it's everywhere. It's infusing into our society and our world. And I mean, how much love does Coco bring to your heart, right? How much love does Encanto bring to your heart? So I really wanted to kind of spotlight her. But Also invite friends who were at the POC retreat. If you wanted to speak about how it's touched you, we would love to hear, because I'm tired of hearing myself.
Please come up. I don't think we have so much time because we need to rest. Tomorrow is sitting meditations. And we want you to be there for that. It's the only sitting meditation throughout the retreat. So please come and experience sitting in silence with us. But please come, all the people that, our friends that were here in 2004, please come and so we can see you. And also, we're sorry that we don't have space for everyone to share. Maybe they don't want to come.
You don't have to come, but you are invited to come if you wanted to share anything. Because people are really nourished, you know. And what brought you back?
Thank you. I know it's too unexpected. We'll save it for next BIPOC retreat. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. We'll end with we sound the bell. Please come back to our postures and celebrate this moment with us. It's so wonderful to have you here and to smile with us and to be part of this big families.